Hi everyone! Thank you so much for coming to this opening event. I'm absolutely there in spirit and want to extend my apologies for not being physically present. But as my love for virtual and film remains at the forefront, here I am in the virtual scenescape. It's almost poetic. First, I wish to acknowledge the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation as the traditional owners of Boorloo, of which this work was created on. I acknowledge I create on their land. I acknowledge and respect the living culture and heritage of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and the essential role they hold in storytelling, in community, and in our understanding of nature, spirit and connection. Now, the work presenting on the land of the Awabakal people. I thought I would share a bit about this work, You Need Not Fear the Monsters of the Sea. It's an immersive fairy tale reflecting my own experience of closeness and distance. Through Persian miniature painting, mythology, magical realism, and Baha'i spirituality, I explore intimacy and rage. As a child, my culture was ever present. However, it wasn't until adulthood that I started to truly dive deep within these roots. Especially coming from a place where I cannot visit my ancestral home. My family escaped persecution during the 1979 revolution in Iran, where my grandmother made certain choices that ensured their safety amidst the turbulence of internal war. Home has been a tricky thing to navigate, being here on this land and currently a visitor to another. Home has always been a neither here nor there. As you step in the artwork, you are immediately immersed in the echoes of my childhood home. The gentle sway of a crystal chandelier remembered at the centre of my house, Australian shorelines and wind. Home is also folklore, fairy tale and myth. Diving deep down into this wonderland, my grandma and my mother shared with me stories of Shahnahmeh, the Book of Kings by Ferdowsi, a Persian epic equivalent to that of Odyssey or Shakespeare. My grandma was a Farsi literature teacher in Iran, and coming here, we found a mutual thread of excitement within the mystical and deeply poetic tales of Shahnahmeh. The Tale of Sorab, an enchanting tragedy where father and son unknowingly fight to the death. It should be noted the translation into English from Farsi is not the same as the essence of what is being said in Farsi. Here is a verse in English. When evil fortune is stirred to wrath, then granite rock is softened like wax. The two warriors began by seizing each other's girdle at his waist. Then Rostam angrily stretched out his arm to encircle his opponent's head and shoulders, but he fought like a leopard and bent him low until he was all but at the end of his strength. Swiftly then he drew a dagger from his girdle and with it cleft the chest of his bold-spirited son. Writhing and uttering a deep sigh, his power to think of anything good or ill came to an end. And he said, "This has come upon me through myself. Fate has set the key of me into your hand. In this you are innocent. The vault of heaven read me and now too soon puts me to death. Men will speak in jest of the fewness of my years and of how this mighty frame of mine was brought low into the dust. My mother gave me tokens whereby I might know my father. Now, because of my love, my soul departs from me. I sought for him that I might see his face, and in gaining my desire I yield up my life. Alas, that my travails have profited nothing, and that in spite of them I have not beheld my father's face. Yet, though you are now to become as a fish in the ocean, to be plunged like night into blackness, to find a place in the sky as a star, or to exclude the sun from shining on the earth's surface, my father would still exact retaliation from you for me, when he perceives that the clay is my pillow. Someone among the mighty and proud will carry to Rustam the tidings that Sorab is slain and overthrown in ignominy, his one desire being only to find him. On hearing these words, Rustam was thrown into dismay and the world grew dark in his eyes. When his senses returned, he set about plying his adversary with questions. Sobbing and with his tears running, he said, "What tokens have you of Rustam, whose name be expunged from the scroll of the mighty? I am Rustam. Let my name perish, and the son of Som prostrate himself in mourning for me." Sorab answered, "If you are indeed Rustam, you have slain me without cause in your ill nature. Now unloose the knots of my armour and behold my unclad body shining." Once the sound of war drums corning loudly through my door, and my mother entered to me, her cheeks inflamed with grief. Her spirit quailed at my departure, and on my arm she tied a seal ring, telling me it was a memento of my father, which I must preserve and hold in sight, so that it might bring me succour in case of need. And now the time has come to bring it to effect. The battle has been fought, and the son has been vanquished by his father. The shining sun declined from out the sky, but Rustam did not return to camp from the battlefield, so that from amongst his troops 20 alert men came forward to discover what had befallen in the arena of battle. There were the 2 horses standing covered with dust on the plain, but Rustam was absent. Since they failed to espy the champion in the saddle in that place of wrath, they imagined him slain and galloped back to the king Qaboos with the news that the seat of greatness had been vacated by Rustam. When the Iranians discovered the grief-stricken Rustam, he tried to kill himself, but they restrained him. He said, "Famed champion, bright spirit, bear a message from me to the king and tell him what has befallen us, how with my dagger I have pierced my son's heart. If he has any memory of my past deeds, then let his heart be moved for a little on my behalf." I explore this story through the magical terrain of the surreal, using VR artwork and animation from the Virtual Architecture of Empathy series, with VFX artist Jared Russell and director of photography Elliot Neves. Collaging, cutting, and composition of these distinct colour palettes, light and form, through generative animation algorithms, Rustam and Sorab, the ocean, interplay, converse and merge. Inspired by community and history, spiritual literature and ancient text, virtual dreamscapes of colour and light set the stage. Throughout we hear the sonic narrator composed by Ashton Namdar, each instrument its own character, responding to the emotional landscapes of loss, love and rage. Ashton and I creatively conversed for each scene based on this Baha'i quote. But war is made for the satisfaction of men's ambition, for the sake of world gain to the few. Terrible misery is brought to the numberless homes, breaking the hearts of hundreds of men and women. How many widows mourn their husbands? How many stories of savage cruelty do we hear? How many little orphan children are crying for their dead fathers? How many women are weeping for their slain sons? There is nothing so heartbreaking and terrible as an outburst of human savagery. By Abdul Baha, Paris Talks, 1911. Stepping inside the immersive world, 2 male figures grapple with resistance and union, anonymity and vulnerability. We see their veiling, face-to-face golden masks inspired by the wall of Persepolis in Iran. The fractured auditory quakes, a mirror of the emotional reality within the dream state. Derived from the catalogue of the persecution of Baha'is, we witness the distorted and physical fracture of felt war. The Tale of Sorab is no longer a myth, but a reflection of reality. As they wrestle in close-up, it becomes an intimate embrace, asking perhaps to look closer. In wide shot, we witness their tension and collision. By contrast, we only ever see 2 lovers embrace at wide shot. Movements as a pendulum of distance and closeness. Pain and love interplay and meet at the cross-section of grief. It is an ode to memory, soul, and catharsis. Perhaps to overcome war, pain, and aggression, we need to look closer, to witness the wider picture and dig deeper into the nuance of our collective experience. Thank you so much, everyone.